Both films are kinda bad. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Yesterday I made this really black comedy style comic page that I drew and recorded the other day. I'd also like to share my thoughts on both Captain Marvel and Alita Battle Angel. You could be correct in thinking this video will also involve talking about the two films. I really just thought about this comic on the spot, so in a kind of messed up way, I hope you find this funny. So let's begin with Captain Marvel. So I'm very aware of the message this film is trying to convey. I haven't heard good things come from it, but just as a fan of the MCU and out of morbid curiosity, I went to see it with a friend who was kind enough to pay for my ticket. My suspicions were pretty much confirmed by the end of this film that it was pretty mediocre, mostly in terms of character and the story. The film actually starts out okay, where we are introduced to the main character of Ver. She's called Carol Danvers in the promotional material, so let's clear that up. She's a Kree Special Forces spy, or something, who is tasked with thwarting the shape-shifting Skrulls, an invasive species that seeks to take over the galaxy. She is unfortunately captured by a group of armed Skrulls while investigating a planetary border. We are then shown memories of her past that the Skrulls are scanning with a machine, but they don't know that she has superpowers, which she uses to then escape her shackles, all without breaking a sweat. She then finds an escape pod but is soon shot down in mid-flight. Hurtling towards Earth, she crash lands into a blockbuster video on Earth in the early 1990s. The rest of the film explores her trying to piece together her past while meeting fan-favorite characters from the MCU like Nick Fury. I don't know if it's Brie Larson's acting or the poor writing, but this woman apparently inspired Fury to set up the Avengers Initiative, even though I don't really know what makes her who she is. We get vague glimpses into her past in the beginning, and yet it's not as impactful when presented in full context. Whole time she's going around places, we don't get a sense that she's developing as a character. Even when she meets up with an old friend, that part wasn't really explored very well. I could say Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury provides a balance in that he's always charismatic in any role, minus Mace Windu, in my opinion. There were moments I generally thought he was clever and full of quips. The humour in this film is the bog standard for the MCU. Both humour and drama are perfectly balanced to create even pacing while staying true to the characters on screen. It doesn't always work though. It almost feels cheaply done in this film, especially in a setting where you can make an abundant amount of 90s references. There's a scene where Nick Fury is overlooking a dead Skrull in a morgue. One moment there's a gag involving them look at the genitals of the corpse. The very next moment the guy with him is shown secretly to be a Skrull, mourning his fallen comrade. It says a lot when the supporting characters are better than the protagonist, sometimes. Like there's this cat, which looks way too CGI in some scenes, and an Air Force pilot named Rambo, who apparently had a connection to Carol Danvers, although I found her forgettable and her kid was a bit of a smartass, to be honest. The Stanley cameo I thought was alright. There was even a chime when he was on screen. And let's not forget the animated Marvel logo paying a big montage of his appearances. It was very touching. As a prequel, this film does good for the most part at keeping its continuity on point. Other times I felt like it was downright ridiculous or seems to contradict established lore. Some examples include where the idea for the Avengers came from and why the Tesseract was on Earth to begin with. The most egregious scene I found, which irritated me personally, was the origin of Fury's eye patch. Regardless, the actual story felt bland when I realized Carl Danvers was this all-powerful protagonist with very few flaws. I'll just say the movie does have some feminist leanings, which I could get down with if the message wasn't so surface level. There's even a cringe No Doubt song playing in a fight scene, which was very awkward to sit through. And the biggest spoiler is, well, I don't really know. I didn't feel any significant character development by the end. She is all-powerful, but also she is more powerful and flies. That's it. I think the best parts about this film are a few good jokes, pretty decent special effects, and the action is serviceable and fun. Final note on the end credit scenes. I think they're becoming more like jokes, like in Homecoming, than offering clues or hints about what's to come, at least in my opinion. and now I can only speculate how she'll be used in Endgame. It just feels like this was the easiest paycheck in Brie Larson's career. Her performance in this film is pretty phoned in, is all I have to say.
I like this one.
Now on to Alita Battle Angel. I saw this before Captain Marvel, and I thought it was a surprise to me once I saw the whole film. I definitely think it has flaws and I was very underwhelmed. It was produced by James Cameron, but directed by Robert Rodriguez, whose films have been pretty good, aside from Spy Kids, but I still found them oddly enjoyable. Of course, Machete wasn't in this, but I found the character of Alita was interesting, as well as the far-off dystopian future she lives in. Despite its special effects, it felt very grounded as a story, especially as we come to learn about her and her relationship to the other characters. The film starts out with exposition about a catastrophic event called the Fall, and how it led to the rise of Salem, the skyward city above. In amongst a junkyard of scrap, a doctor scans for signs of life, and in his search he finds a discarded robot with brain activity. So he retrieves it and gets to work rebuilding the robot in his workshop/clinic. And soon we are seeing her wake up and stumble downstairs to meet her maker, Dr. Ido. From then on we see her discover things about herself and the world around her, falling for a street boy, partaking in the grisly sport of motorball, while meeting a few shady characters in the world of cybernetic bounty hunters called Hunter Warriors, who will kill and dismember for the right price. Now I remember Alita's design being such a meme, with the big eyes and such, but I think I got used to it after a while. The CGI is actually pretty well done in this film, aside from one character who clearly looks like a human head on top of a robot body. It especially serves the action pretty well, and in it lies the main plot, where Alita comes to learn about her past, a bit like Captain Marvel in a way. Only she uncovers more about the world and secrets that uncover not only her past, but a far greater and ominous threat. The villains I actually found were pretty bland, aside from Zappin, a hunter warrior who's pretty intimidating as an antagonist, but I found his last scene pretty funny. Alita, as I mentioned, falls for a boy named Hugo, who also falls for her, but he's one of the more sympathetic characters who treat her like a human. And actually, Dr. Ido's backstory is tragic, but it's well done in that it not only informs his character, but also Alita's backstory. Of course, being based off a manga as well as an anime adaptation, you can tell what scenes and what shots were a reference to if you're familiar with the source material. Some, however, didn't really earn the emotional impact, but that's really a minor point. But I do hope to read the manga in the not too distant future to find out more. Overall, what made me feel underwhelmed was some missing pieces of world building that would have helped me get invested in the story. There isn't actually much information about Salem itself, or even the main villain, but this film makes it clear it wants to be a franchise, and promises everything will make more sense in the sequel, so not a great cliffhanger, all things considered. Well, that's it for the video, and as for the comic I've made here, I'll let it speak for itself. Thank you guys for watching. I wanted to share my thoughts on these films and compare their approach and style a bit. Both have their pros and cons objectively, but overall I hope you enjoyed this video. I kind of want to make more content, however I'm actually busy working with a client right now on a commission, and he's doing something pretty big which I'm a part of, but I'll let you guys know how it's going in the middle of April. But anyway, thanks for watching, and once again I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.